Lonna Kelly, and this is Hudson Valley Art Speak, and thank you for joining us. And I'd like to introduce tonight Brian Saltern, an artist who lives in Millerton, not too far from here. And you know, Brian, you didn't start off as an artist. When you got out of school, you started promoting, and you worked with artists and other people, and it's been a journey, huh?
Yes, it's been a long journey. Actually, you know, I think I've tried every conceivable employment possibility, and you know, now only like 2 years ago did I discover that what I really love doing is painting. But there were a lot of twists and turns through the years. I had sketched a little bit when I was 24, just, you know, I was trying to teach myself, and then I thought, what am I doing? I mean, I don't have any degrees in art or background, any teachers. In fact, a funny story, I was so frustrated in high school because I was an athlete, and athletes weren't supposed to be artists back then.
Well, that's true.
It didn't work, and I think I got an F in art, actually, because I ended up throwing painting around the room at other people, and the art teacher didn't like that at all. So, but it was really out of frustration of not having it come out the way I wanted to.
Mm-hmm. But so you went in a different direction, and it seems to me like as a promoter and working in nightclubs and doing things like that, it was you chose a profession where you interacted a lot with people, and you were meeting people all the time, getting to know people. And to me, art is more, you know, painting in your studio, it's more of a solitary thing. So it seems like a big difference between those two things.
It's a very big difference. In fact, the change from living in New York and doing what you just said, promoting in clubs and all, and then moving up to Millerton was. I remember a friend said who lived up here, "You're going to lose your mind," and I thought the first year I might, you know, it was a worry, and it's really that when I found painting that everything started to cohere. Because in the city, I was always surrounded by artists. I mean, I did fashion. I promoted fashion shows, even some art shows. You know, the party for the artists or whatever. And all my friends were either musicians or artists or actors and models and what have you. So I was, and all my girlfriends, it seemed, all through my life were, you know, they could draw and paint. And I was always like secretly envious of them, but I thought, well, I just don't have that talent. I actually thought that.
Yeah. It sounds like you were drawn to it, but you just couldn't make that connection for some reason.
Yeah, and the people I was around, you know, they had all gone to RISD or Pratt or something, and they had fine art degrees, and I even was working in stained glass for a little, and it was hard for me to just sketch out a stained glass window. I was just so intimidated, I think the word is.
Yeah.
And then one day, I took, just by chance up here in Millerton, I took a series of classes with this local artist, Tilly Strauss, who I credit her with releasing whatever artistic ability I have. And at the end, I had never painted, ever. Even though my father, way back when, had worked at Crayola crayon, and I always had the newest colors, the best colors, but because of various reasons, I wouldn't use them. I mean, we didn't get along, so I just never drew or painted or anything. But in this session with Tilly, the fourth session, I said, I've never picked up a paintbrush and actually painted, you know? Can I try that? And I painted a dog from a photograph, and actually a magazine cover, and she was amazed at how it came out, and I was too. I mean, I still look at it and I wonder, and that's almost the way it is with my paintings now. I mean, I've obviously learned, and I'm feeling good about my progression, but I still have to stop and pinch myself sometimes, like, did I really create that?
Really?
Did I really do that? Yeah.
So what is the process when you're doing a painting? Do you kind of come to the canvas with something in mind, or do you paint from pictures, or take your canvas out into, I mean, looking at this painting right here with the deer, was that something you saw, or I mean, God knows there's so many deer by us.
Yeah, it's an interesting story, I think, because those are 4 deer that were actually, just on the hill behind our property. And I have a couple dogs, and and this was the one winter 2 years ago when, the ground was covered and the deer had trouble finding anything to eat. They came really close to the house in search of whatever, but whenever they heard the sliding glass door open, and they knew my dog was coming out, and he loved chasing deer. So I call this startled deer, actually, because this is exactly the way they looked when they saw my dog come out on the deck. And this one, I actually, which I don't think terribly good at, I sketched. I had to, when I saw it, I thought, oh, I have to paint that. And so I hastily sketched the 4 deer and various, just real basic, but I knew I wanted to paint it right then.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite paintings. I mean, I think because it's so real in the sense that I relate to it so well. It's something that's a part of me.
Yeah. So this is very different from one of your other paintings that is behind us, Occupy Wall Street.
Occupy Wall Street was, I have to say, I mean, I'm pretty political. I've been, I don't know if you can say, a revolutionary all my life, but I've been certainly realized the inequality going on in this country, and that was when the people were occupying the park in the cities, Zuccotti Park. And I so much wanted to be a part of it, but I was up here.
Right.
And so I was just motivated to make this poster. I call it a poster. It's a painting. And it just, if you look at it, it goes through various, awful parts of our nation's history and what's still going on today with the oil and the, what we did to the Native Americans and the pharmaceutical companies and their grab for money and the pollution, and it just goes on and on. I mean, there's a lot going on in that.
There's a tremendous amount going on in that. There's, I see the oil things and the money and just a tremendous amount going on. So did you, and that was just all just kind of came out.
Yeah, I wanted to include as much as I could in the painting, and it just came out like the black struggle and the Native Americans, and even now we're burning forests of indigenous peoples all over the world. I mean, it's just so unfair, and I wanted to say something. The funny thing is, I took this down to Zuccotti Park, and it was the day the judge allowed them back in the park. And so I was right there, but I left the painting in the trunk. I mean, it was a mess, and there was a chance of rioting and what have you, but I never got a chance to bring it out. But I remember they have this great way of, they call it mic check, where you speak. You just say, mic check, and you stand up and spoke. And I just thanked all the young kids for finally joining up.
Yeah, it was a very young movement.
Yeah, although amazing, there were a lot of older people there still. I mean, but it comes from the youth, I think. I mean, I was out there. I was in Chicago in '68 and Haight-Ashbury, and I could go on and on. That's another subject.
That's a whole nother story, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. One of my favorite paintings of yours is the painting Waves, where you see the fields, kind of undulating fields, and it looks like wheat and stone walls. Is that a scene from your studio? Can you see that?
It's partially. I do have a stream with the stone walls, which actually I built. When I was a little bit younger, but most of it's imagination. It's just, I mean, it's of scenes that I see every day, but it's not a particular landscape. It's a combination. It was just a feeling I had, and I love color so much. I remember when that first day when I painted, I thought, oh my God, there's just, I can paint everything, and I do. So I can't say like I'm any one kind of painter. I just paint whatever I want, but there's always a lot of color. I just love working with color.
Where do you exhibit your paintings? And where could, if somebody wanted to see more of your paintings, I know you have on the Artist Duchess website that you have a page there with more paintings. Any other web presence or?
I've been a part of 14th Colony, which is a local group, and it includes many towns in the Hudson Valley, many artists, and we've been having group shows. I'm on a website called fineartamerica.com, and my paintings are there to see and purchase if anyone's interested. And I want to get into galleries. You know, I'm still, you know, I'll say this, I don't know, I'm still intimidated. I don't like being around other painters a whole lot, or the I'm very competitive, so I think, you know, and I have a tendency to downplay my own talents, I think, so. It's not good for me to like be in the city, I don't think. And I was, you know, I don't think I could go back to the city and paint with the same freedom I have here.
Yeah, I think that the Hudson Valley lends a quietness to life that, I mean, it's great you're adjacent to the city, so you can go downtown and do things and do anything you want, but you can also come back to, you know, the quiet, the, you know, beautiful scenery, all that, that other type of stuff that you don't get in the city.
One of my favorite things when I first started coming up here, I was a weekender, and, you know, just to be able to get in bed with a book and not have car alarms go off and horns and screams, and I thought it was divine, and finally I stayed here. I didn't want to go back Sunday nights a lot of times.
Yeah. You know, believe it or not, Brian, our time is almost up.
Oh, my goodness.
So I'd like to thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you so much.
It was really a pleasure to sit and talk to you. And do please check out Brian's work on artistduchess.com. And say again, what was the other website?
fineartamerica.com.
And we hope that we'll be seeing your work in the galleries soon, and we'll look forward to it.
Can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
Okay.
Save the world with just a